reporting to you live from Chicago, Illinois. Just left the bar with my boy Derrick Rose. I'm down there with the hometown kid. We're throwing back tequila shots. We're having a great time. And then Derrick Rose all of a sudden says, "Hey bud, I'm retiring. I'm gonna announce my retirement." And I said, "Oh fuck, Derrick, don't retire. I love you and respect you." And D Rose told me, "I have the utmost love and respect for you as well." And I said, "Thank you so much. That means so much, D Rose. Please don't retire." But I couldn't talk him out of it. So Derrick Rose's retirement has been announced. Please like and subscribe. Then I told Derrick, I said, "Hey D Rose, since we're best friends, me and the hometown kid, best friends in Chicago." I said, "Hey Derrick, do you think you're gonna make it into the Hall of Fame?" And he said, "Of course, I'm a fucking lightning bolt on the court. I'll cross the shit out of boys, dunk on them." Got my MVP, got Chicago to the Eastern Conference Finals and went blow to blow with LeBron in the playoffs a couple of times. So I'm Derrick Rose. Fuck yeah, I should be in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. So we'll get into it and see if we think Derrick Rose should be in the NBA Hall of Fame. If you watch basketball when Derrick Rose was playing, and I just asked you off the top of your head, like right now when you're watching this video, if I said, "Hey, does Derrick Rose deserve to be in the Naismith Hall of Fame?" Just off the top of your head, you probably say yes. When I heard this question, I thought on the top of my head, I just thought, yes, of course, Derrick Rose deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Again, if you had watched when he was playing, he was just a freak show out there, just an incredible athlete. He was like lightning in a bottle. In my opinion, I feel like he was better than Russell Westbrook in his prime, in my opinion, but you could almost think of him as just a Russell Westbrook style player, but he was a bit more in control. I don't know if you can argue that, but just so fast, super fast crossover, gets from baseline to baseline in 4 seconds, just way more athletic, jumps higher, runs faster, he's stronger than you, just way better than all the point guards in terms of athleticism. So when you think back about Derrick Rose, if you're me, you're probably thinking about all his flashy highlights, the times he carried Chicago in the playoffs and never got him to the finals, but got him on some decently deep runs, and just a hometown kid in Chicago, born and raised in Chicago, so Chicago loves Derrick Rose, and I love Derrick Rose as well, and I think a lot of people that watch Derrick Rose love him as well. There's really nothing not to like about the dude. He carries himself very professionally. He seemed very mature from the day he got into the NBA, and he just handles his business like a professional. Once he got his ACL injury, he was never quite the same, and everyone was really sad whenever that had happened. But back to the Hall of Fame stuff, real quick as well. After Derrick Rose announced his retirement, the Chicago Bulls said, like the next day, like pretty much right after, they said, "All right, we're gonna retire your number one jersey in Chicago." And they let it be known retiring your jersey in 2026. So pretty much immediately once they knew he was definitely retiring, they said, "Hey, we love you, Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, whole city of Chicago loves you, hometown kid, and we're gonna retire your jersey." I think he definitely deserves to have his jersey retired in Chicago. But getting on to Derrick Rose, some of his career accomplishments. He was a 3-time All-Star throughout his career. I was surprised when I heard that because I figured it would be at least like a 6 or 7-time All-Star because he was just so explosive and so talented when he was in the NBA. But the 3-time All-Star, again, his career was cut short due to the injuries. He did make the All-NBA first team one time, so one time on the NBA first team. We'll get into this a little later. I think the one All-NBA first team is more valuable than, let's say you have 3 All-NBA teams, but you made the third team twice and the second team once, or you made the second team twice and the third team once. I think being All-NBA just one time outweighs, 2 or 3 second teams or third teams, because that just says when you were in your peak, when you were kind of at your prime, you were the best point guard in the NBA, best shooting guard, best small forward, whatever it is. So Derrick Rose does have the one All-NBA first team. Youngest MVP of all time. He was 22 when he won his MVP award, and even till today, because that was back in, I want to say 2011-ish, right around then when he won his MVP, and even to today, there hasn't been a younger MVP than Derrick Rose. He was 22 years old, so it's insane. There's people that don't even come into the NBA until they're 23, 24. So his MVP, one of the most impressive ones of all time, if you ask me, to be honest. Looking back, was he the most valuable player in the NBA at that time? You can argue that. Was he the best player in the NBA? No way. He definitely wasn't. Miami Heat LeBron James was the best player in the NBA. Miami Heat LeBron James probably averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists that season, just like he does for his entire career. If we gave the MVP to the best player every single season, LeBron would win 10 in a row, but the Chicago Bulls had won, I think they were at 60 plus games that season. They got the number 1 seed in the East. Didn't make it to the finals, but he did get the MVP, and you can argue whether or not he deserves it. I think he was like 24 points and 8 assists, something like that. But again, got the Bulls the number 1 seed, where the Heat were the number 2 seed. LeBron had just absolutely stupid numbers, but give Derrick Rose his MVP. He did get that. So for his career, 17 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. The 3 All-Star teams that won All-NBA first team, then the 1 MVP. So if I told you those stats without Derrick Rose's face on it, just blind stats, I said this dude averaged 17 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds for their entire career. They made the All-Star game 3 times. They had 1 All-NBA first team, and they had 1 MVP award. If I asked you, do you think this player deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. I'll wait to the end of the video and I'll make my opinion on it. But when I ask if someone's a Hall of Famer, or if I ask if someone is top 10 in the NBA, whatever it is, I can't just say yes or no. Once you say yes or no, you have to start listing those other people for a top 10, for example, the 10 players in front of that player, or for this Hall of Fame example, what guy would you take out of the Hall of Fame, or what guy that's already in the Hall of Fame is Derrick Rose better than? So I just went over the last 6 years of people getting put into the Hall of Fame. So in 2025, just the last season, that was when Dwight Howard was inducted. There was other players inducted, but I'm just trying to pick the most comparable players to Derrick Rose that I can, just to try to make this argument for him. But in 2025, when Dwight Howard went in, it's going to be a short conversation. For his career, he was averaging 16 points, 12 rebounds. He was a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. I didn't check, but he made so many all-defensive teams as well. He made so many All-Stars. If you don't think Dwight's a Hall of Famer, I'll just have to disagree with you on that. Just take Dwight Howard's name out of it. If you told me this player won 3 Defensive Player of the Years, I would just stop you right there and say, put that player in the Hall of Fame. If you can win 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, I think that's just fucking ridiculous, and you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, especially if you're averaging 16 points and 12 rebounds for your whole career. So Dwight Howard definitely deserves his nod in there. Now we get to 2024. Vince Carter was one of the players inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2024. I guess it gets a little weird with Vince. He had the 8 All-Star appearances, so an 8-time All-Star. He had 0 first-team All-NBAs. So like I was saying with D-Rose, D-Rose had the 1 All-NBA first team. Vince Carter, he made the All-NBA team. He had 3 appearances, but it was 2 second teams and 1 third team, or 2 third teams and 1 second team. And I guess it's a personal opinion. Let me know what you think. But like I was saying before, I think that 1 All-NBA first team is more valuable than, 3 second teams or 3 third teams, or like Vince has a mix and match here. But I think Vince Carter does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because he had the 8 All-Star appearances, those few All-NBA appearances he had, and just the longevity of his career. He played over 20 years. So once you get into such a long career like that, and you were such a good player for such a long time, it's kind of hard to keep you out if you have some All-Star appearances and some accomplishments like this. Before I get to the next person, keep in mind it's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Dr. James Naismith invented basketball, of course, but it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. They're taken into account, you probably already know, but Olympic accomplishments. If you were in the Euro League before you got to the NBA, stuff you even do in high school, honestly, stuff you do in college, like everything gets factored in. they'll literally have on the Wikipedia page of these players, this player was a McDonald's All-American. That's a high school accomplishment. So even when you're in high school, especially college, you're already building up your Hall of Fame resume. So just keep that in mind. It's not all about NBA accomplishments. Then we get to 2023. Tony Parker gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'm a big-time Spurs fan, so of course I love Tony and Ginobili and everything to do with the Spurs, and I would not argue with Tony getting put into the Hall of Fame. Some other people might not feel the same way, but even if you took Tony Parker's name off of there, I'm going to get into his accomplishments. He was a 6-time All-Star. He was a 1-time Finals MVP, and then 4 rings, 4-time champion. So if you're a 4-time champion and you have a Finals MVP on top of that, plus 6 All-Star appearances, plus what Tony did in the EuroLeague before he came to the NBA, it's going to be really hard to keep a player like that out of the Hall of Fame. I didn't do this research, but I want to look it up now and see if there's ever been a player that won a Finals MVP and then did not eventually get put into the Hall of Fame in their career. I want to say there's not one, but I'm going to have to check that out and kind of see to confirm that. But again, Tony, the 6 All-Stars, Finals MVP, won 4 championships, so he has a very strong case. And I feel like you kind of couldn't keep Tony out of there. But that's a pretty good comparison. Tony Parker's skill set compared to Derrick Rose. They're both point guards, but Tony with the 4 championships, it's really hard to compete with that once you get to that many championships. Next, I'll go with Tim Hardaway. Not Tim Hardaway Jr., Tim Hardaway Sr. I don't know a bunch about basketball in that era, just to be completely honest with you, but Tim Hardaway Sr., he was a 5-time All-Star. He was first-team All-NBA 1 time, so again, I personally take that 1 first-team All-NBA. I feel like that carries more weight than 2 or 3 third-team, second-team. I would take 1 All-NBA first-team over 4 second-team appearances. I just feel like that shows, you're at the peak of your game. You're one of the 5 best players in the NBA, at least at some point. But I do know about Tim Hardaway. He averaged 20 points and 10 assists in 1 season. He was one of the youngest players to do that back in his day, so that is impressive. Another thing I saw about Tim Hardaway, I'm pretty sure this still stands to this day, but he has the worst shooting game in NBA history. He went 0 for 17 in 1 game, and not to clown on him or hate on him, I just have more respect for the dude, honestly. Once you're 0 for 5, fucking take 5 more shots. If you're 0 for 10, fucking take 7 more and make it 0 for 17. Keep getting them up. Stay confident in yourself. So, fuck with Tim Hardaway for that. I feel like he's a pretty good comparison, to be honest. 5-time All-Star. That one time he was All-NBA first team. He doesn't have any MVPs. I didn't check if he won a championship or not, to be honest with you, but, keep that in mind. Tim Hardaway, 5 All-Stars, first-team All-NBA 1 time. Just like Derrick Rose had the 3 All-Stars, he was first-team NBA 1 time, but he had the MVP as well. So I feel like that's a pretty decent comparison there. Moving on, 2021, Paul Pierce was inducted to the Hall of Fame. I don't think a lot of people will argue with the truth, but he was a 10-time NBA All-Star. If you're a 10-time NBA All-Star, you have a good chance of making the Hall of Fame, even without Paul Pierce's other accomplishments. But he won the championship with the Celtics. He was a Finals MVP when the Celtics won in 2008, and that pretty much cemented him. Even if he didn't win the championship, with being a 10-time All-Star, I feel like that already had him with a very strong case to make it in, then plus the championship and the Finals MVP on top. It's just a total lock that Paul Pierce is in the Hall of Fame. If you have some argument why he shouldn't be, I'd like to hear it, but I see no way that he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And then that'll be my final one. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was just five different examples with Dwight Howard, Vince Carter, Tony Parker, Tim Hardaway, and Paul Pierce. But I feel like Tim Hardaway was the best comparison because he had the 5 All-Stars. He was first-team All-NBA 1 time. Didn't have the MVP like Derrick Rose, so Derrick Rose has that MVP in his back pocket as well. And, getting towards the end of the video, those guys I compare him to, I feel like Derrick Rose should end up in the Hall of Fame. He just retired this year. I want to say it's 3 years until you're eligible to actually be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we'll wait those 3 years and see if Derrick Rose does make it in or not. But Hall of Fame is so weird. There's been a lot of inductees that get in, and people are questioning whether or not this player deserves to be in there. The thing that makes it weird for me with Derrick Rose is just he didn't have a very long career. He doesn't have like a bunch of accomplishments overseas where he came from Euro basketball or something like that. Again, his career stats, 17 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds for his averages through his whole career. So if I told you just, hey, this guy averaged 17 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds, should he be in the Hall of Fame? You probably say no. But then if I said, hey, but he had three times he was selected to the NBA All-Star game, should he be in the Hall of Fame? You probably still say no. But then I say the one-team All-NBA first team, he did win the MVP over LeBron that one season. Whether you think he should have won it or not, he was the youngest MVP in league history. So I mean, with the All-Star appearances, with his one All-NBA first team appearance and his one MVP, I feel like personally that Derrick Rose will end up making it into the Hall of Fame. I know highlights and all that stuff don't factor in to whether you make it or not, but if you're like me and you watch Derrick Rose play live, he was like fucking lightning in a bottle. He would just get out on the fast break. He would just run so fast, blow by everyone, do insane right to left crossovers, just going 100 miles an hour though. He'd hit his in and out, he'd go behind the back, hit his right to left. He'll hit you with an in and out and then cross it over back, but he wouldn't slow down at all, just going a million miles an hour, blowing by dudes. I think he had a 40-inch vertical, just get up and dunk on dudes. He's 6'3", and his fucking head is at the rim. Just based on, if it was a highlight Hall of Fame, Derrick Rose would be in that one. And I think with his accomplishments, especially the MVP awards, what kind of polishes it off for me. With those accomplishments, I think that he will end up making it into the Hall of Fame. I think he deserves it. I'm going to make another video. I want to check out all the players that have won MVP in league history, and if any of those players that have won MVP have not made it to the Hall of Fame, because I can't think of any off the top of my head. So I think that's going to be my next topic I talk about. But please like and subscribe. Please comment below what you think about Derrick Rose's career, if he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I think we can all agree his career was electric. Just one of the most fun players to watch in league history as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion. Definitely one of the most entertaining players from the year 2000 to now. But please comment below. Let me know what you think if Derrick Rose should be in the Hall of Fame or not. And please like and subscribe. We'll see y'all next time.